Welcome to Activate Live. I'm Tanya Hutchins, a Machinist Union Communications representative here at headquarters in Upper Marlboro, Maryland. Coming up, we'll talk to Greg LeRoy of Good Jobs First on how to track all of those subsidies that companies receive from state and local governments. And Billy Anderson will tell us about an organizing win in Oregon. But first, a few news items. The IAM joined the National Union of Healthcare Workers to fight for proper mental health care amid the opioid crisis. We held a joint event at the National Press Club to raise awareness about how opioids can destroy lives, families, and how to best help addicted workers. The IAM saved military bases from closing thanks to all who fought the McCain-Reed closure amendment to the 2018 National Defense Authorization Act. International President Bob Martinez said, "We need to protect our military-based communities and their local economies. I want to thank the thousands of IAM members who work hard every day to support our men and women at military bases across the country. And thank you to all our IAM members and their family members who worked hard to defeat such a reckless proposal that would have devastated working families and their communities." Now we must get to work and help provide the necessary resources to maintain a world-class military. Well, IAM employees who are part of the National Federation of Federal Employees, or NEFI, defeated attacks against their rights to fair union representation. The Federal Workers Alliance opposed and fought two separate amendments to the National Defense Authorization Act and won. A perfect example of how there's power in numbers. You can read about all of these issues in our iMail on our website. That's goiam.org. And now we're getting to our first guest. Good Jobs First is a national policy resource center for grassroots groups and public officials that promotes government and corporate accountability. And we know that we have to hold our government accountable if we want to create positive change and protect our jobs. Now, Greg LeRoy is founder and executive director, and also he's a TCU member. So we're so excited about that. Greg, thanks for joining us.
Great to be with you, Tanya.
Thanks for being here. Now,
Thanks,
when did you join TCU? Way back when? How did you become a TCU member?
Back when I was a junior high school member, they had apprentice memberships back in 1974.
That is great.
That's when I started working on Amtrak as a member of what was then the Brotherhood of Sleeping Car Porters, and then we merged with what was then BRAC in '76, and then BRAC became TCU, and now we're TCU-IAM.
And you have your union card right here.
I do. I'm still a proud card-carrying member.
See? Proof right there. I first met Greg in 2013, and we were working on, I guess it was a study that just came out about the job creation shell game. And it was about states poaching jobs from state to state. That was 2013. We're here 4 years later. You know, how long have we come, if any? Is it better or worse?
It's worse, frankly. I mean, we have this constitutional structure called federalism, right, with no national industrial policy, really. It's kind of state, eat state, I call it. All right, kind of race to the bottom is another phrase you hear a lot. And in that study 4 years ago, we pointed out that you could even just move a very short distance across the state line, you know, from Memphis to Mississippi or Kansas to Missouri in the Kansas City metro area, and be called a creator of new jobs and get tens of millions of dollars just for changing people's commuting routes to work, essentially. We think that's a crazy use of taxpayer dollars. We need money to be reinvested in companies that are growing and really adding good new jobs. That's where we're coming from. So the whole purpose of our organization is to help people get inside those details and fix the programs.
Now, one of the things I was also happy about today, when I knew you were coming on, I went through my bookshelf and I found this Great American Job Scam, one of the books that Greg had written. And it really is a shell game. I mean, you have states basically stealing from each other, but you don't really hear much reporting about that.
It's so common, most of the news media seem to have lost interest in it. I mean, it's been happening for decades. It flares up and cools down. But even now, jobs are very politicized in this economy. We know that job creation has been very stagnant. The recovery was painfully slow and protracted. The Carrier episode is an example of how just not even 800 jobs is a lot of jobs, but that got headlines for a week, for example. And then the Foxconn deal in July, with jobs that aren't even here yet, getting huge amounts of press.
And these companies are getting huge amount of money in terms of subsidies. Now, that's one of the great things about your website. You have a new tool that reporters can use. You know, workers can use to look up information on these huge subsidies that companies are receiving. And we have a shot of your website that we could put up.
Great.
So there is a subsidy tracker, and there you see it on the right-hand side of your screen, Subsidy Tracker 3.0. How does this tracker work?
Sure. So basically, we started shaming the states and cities and counties to disclose online who gets the money and what they're doing with the money. And then as they began to disclose online, we grabbed it all electronically and cleaned it up and associated subsidiaries with parents, and then we put it up on the web. So we have more than 500,000 company-specific deals in that database now from all 50 states, many federal programs and local city and counties as well. And you can search it by the parent company, or you can search it by your city or by your county or by your subsidiary name, any way you want to slice and dice it.
Thank you for doing this, because you're putting the information in our fingertips, in the workers' fingertips. When you talked about Foxconn, that was not just millions, but billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And the jobs that will be created, one of the things that you say is you can't really, the worker isn't recouping that money. It's like apples and oranges with the amounts of money.
I mean, even if Foxconn were to create the fantastic number of 13,000 jobs in what I think is going to be a very highly automated facility and very likely never will come close to that many jobs, that would still be almost $250,000 in tax breaks per job. And at that rate, Wisconsin taxpayers can never break even. The average worker in that factory is never going to pay taxes worth $250,000 more than public services she and her family consume. It just can't happen.
Or even spend that money,
right,
in area businesses.
Yeah, much less the fact that the plant's going to be close to the Illinois border and a fourth or a third of the workforce will come from another state that won't spend a dime for the deal.
What do you think about the games that are being played, even just the talk about watching Amazon trying to find its, second headquarters, and then it's just all over the radio when you're driving into work, and you're hearing again, it's like a pattern with these millions and millions of dollars to lure companies, to each state.
Yeah, so Amazon's saying they're going to build a second headquarters with maybe 50,000 jobs, which is just a completely unprecedented number, right? There's no corporate headquarters I've been able to identify that has half that many jobs. And it would be their second headquarters. They've already got 40,000 in Seattle, which means it's completely off the charts. And there's so many places bidding that I think don't have a prayer to get it, right? If you're going to hire 50,000 people, you've got to be in a labor market. DC is one of them that has a lot of tech companies already and a lot of professional, technical, website, engineering, marketing, legal people like that. Nonetheless, there will be more than 100 bids, it looks like, from hither and yon all over the country. Everybody, serenading, as the New York Times put it in their article yesterday, serenading Jeff Bezos, trying to get the company to come to their hometown. I've had so much media traffic about just this one deal since it was announced.
How better could states be using this money?
So we think everybody should be turning the tables on Amazon. Look at the transaction from the company's point of view, and if you study the research about how companies actually pick places to move or expand, taxes are the least of it. They're the lowest, tiniest microscopic cost. Labor, occupancy, raw materials, logistics, proximity to suppliers, proximity to customers, those are the things that really matter. And therefore, we think public officials should be totally stingy. They should actually shut off subsidies for Amazon and say, look, if you want to come here because we've got the brain cells that you need to run this company, great. And then we want you to help us handle the gentrification that might result from all these high-paid people flooding into our housing market. We want to talk about some amenities, maybe some improvements to our mass transit system so people can get around and we don't have more traffic congestion. We think because this is a public auction, because Amazon's kind of daring everybody by being so open about it, which is highly unusual. These are usually very secret affairs. We think public officials should also say, okay, we're not bound by any of the old rules either. We should talk to each other. We should conspire and collude to not get fleeced.
Exactly.
Frankly, that's where we're coming from.
Exactly. I mean, a lot of people don't think about just the effect on housing alone and how the costs just skyrocket when you bring so many high-tech people in that can afford to buy.
Your members in Seattle know about that, I'm
yes,
sure.
Yes, and even right here in D.C., there are people who have to move out because they can't afford to live here anymore.
That's right.
So it's so serious. What can union members and even non-union members do to help stop these subsidies?
So on our website, we've got pages specific to states. so you can look up all the information we have about your state in one place. We've got links to other watchdog groups in the states that we work with, so you can find out who our allies are and look at their websites as well. You can get contact information. You can look up the deals in your city. We also have toolkits for how to sort of get involved, how to look up your docket of your next, council meeting and research the deals that have happened before to see how they're doing. There's a lot of very specific toolkit things on our website that let you crawl inside the beast, so to speak. It's not rocket science, it's mostly shoe leather.
Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to mention that we haven't talked about yet?
Well, I just think that, unions are the biggest force for justice in this space. Everybody should know, I backed into this whole work completely accidentally as an advocate trying to prevent plant closings in Chicago from the mid-'80s to the mid-'90s. And we kept discovering that factories that were closing had gotten big tax breaks. They'd gotten big loans and enterprise zone credits and training grants. And now the money was being wasted because they were taking the money and running away to Mexico or Mississippi or whatever. And we're like, in the wake of all those disputes came all the first reforms that are now commonplace in economic development in this country. But it's only because a bunch of union leaders who became themselves dislocated workers decided to kind of go down swinging to fix the system and not let things keep happening that way, that we have anything good to show in this space.
See, some people think they don't make a difference, but they can if we all act together collectively.
Without labor's infrastructure, we would be nowhere on this issue.
Do you think we'll ever get to a point where there are no subsidies from any states?
That's a tough lift. I got to be honest with you. That's a heavy lift. Yeah. But I think the Amazon thing is a lightning flash moment. It's a teachable moment, and I think the behavior is so excessive and so obsequious toward this company that we're hoping some light bulbs are going to go off.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for joining us.
You bet.
We appreciate it.
Great being with you.
And we love that you're still in TCU. So we have a TCU-IAM member here. Thank you so much. And there's great information on the website. All you have to do is go to goodjobsfirst.org. That's www.goodjobsfirst.org. There's even a violation tracker on there as well. So plenty of tools and information for you to use, looking up information on your city, on your state, and what's going on throughout the country. So thank you so much.
You bet.
Great. Well, we are going to move along to our second guest, who is a familiar face as well. And IAM, I'm just getting my notes together here. We at IAM are so happy to welcome nearly 100 new members to the Machinists Union from the Portland, Oregon area. Workers at PCC Structurals voted last Friday to join the IAM. It's a subsidiary of Precision Cast Parts. Now, Grand Lodge Representative Billy Anderson says that the IAM looks forward to negotiating a fair contract, and Billy joins us now. Billy, are you there? There you are.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Now, which particular group at PCC was organized?
The IAM went after the welders out there at PCC.
And what were some of their concerns on the job when you first began talking to them?
Well, a lot of their concerns center around basically respect, safety. They have issues with their benefits package. A lot of issues going on with their medical, MOTA, with some healthcare professionals referred to as the welfare plan, taking away the pension for all the new hires, and unfair bonuses and management practices out there at the facility.
Now, you've organized a lot of facilities and you've worked on a lot of organizing campaigns. Do you feel like when you go from plant to plant that you're hearing a lot of the same concerns?
Yeah. It doesn't matter if I'm in the South, the East, the West, or the Northwest, or Midwest. It's some of the same issues going on. It seems to be an epidemic. Unfortunately, labor is the one thing that makes wealth, but they don't get compensated for it fairly. So it's a repeating lullaby in all the organizing campaigns that I've dealt with.
What are some of the challenges that go into negotiating a first contract?
Well, the major challenge is actually just getting the company to sit down and bargain in good faith and be fair. I always preach that the manner of how you win, it carries over as far as bargaining strength, so the higher the percentage, then it sends a stronger message to the company that these guys are united and they mean business. So once you get lawyers involved, it kind of gets convoluted and a little bit more stressful. But in the end, we all want the same thing for the workers out there, and that's to be properly compensated and, something characteristic of their value out there at the company.
This is still very new news. What is some of the feedback that you've been getting from the workers who voted yes?
Very positive. These guys, some of these individuals have been out there 30, 40 years. This has been almost 22 years or more in the making of them trying to unionize at PCC. So they're excited, and this is also going to energize the rest of the base out there because we do intend to go after the other classifications out there. This is kind of more of our Spartan approach of getting our foot in the door, so to speak, because as you know, back in 2013, we were unsuccessful with the wall-to-wall that we tried to go after.
We've been utilizing a new way of organizing. We all think of ourselves as organizers. What do you want the workers to know there if they haven't been reading up on what's going on? What do you want the workers to know?
I want the workers to know that the IAM and its reps, our organization, this is their family now. We just welcome some new brothers and sisters. From day one, I told these guys that we're going to be there with them through thick and thin. We proved that through the hearings. We've proven that throughout the years, and that it's my hope that they understand that their decision, it will not be in vain. We're going to stick with these guys no matter what, and it's my hope that we can get them and all the other workers out there into the IAM family.
Well, thank you, Billy, so much for joining us, and congratulations to the workers at PC Structurals and all the organizers who worked so hard to make sure the workers' concerns were addressed. So thanks again for joining us from Portland.
Thank you, T. It was a pleasure. Have a
No
wonderful day now.
problem.
All right, bye-bye.
Well, we'd like to give a shout out to the Transportation Workers Union, TWU. They are convening this week in Nevada. And for the past 2 weeks, we've been telling you about a new free college benefit. So we wanted to just give you a little update on the numbers here. So far, we have 69 applications have come in for the free college benefit through the IAM, and 400 inquiries have come in. So that is great news. The word is getting out that you can apply if you are a union member with the IAM. Your relatives can apply, siblings, children, grandchildren, in-laws, and there's the information on your screen. Just go to the freecollegebenefit.goiam.org. That's freecollegebenefit.goiam.org right here. And 888-590-9009 is the phone number. 888-590-9009. So we're really happy about that. It's a great new benefit for all of our members and their families. And we're so glad that you have joined us. We want to remind you that there are many ways to join us. You can watch us on Facebook, you can watch us on Twitter, you can watch us on YouTube. If you have a smart TV at home and you go into any of these three apps, you can watch on your smart TV through Apple TV or through Roku. And of course, you'll have the replays later on. I'm going to turn on my computer just to see if there are any comments on there, because we love it when you all comment, especially giving us feedback on our guests or any suggestions for guests that are on there for next week. We're always looking for suggestions from you, and we do read the comments. And if we can't respond right away, we'll try to respond after the show personally, because we love giving shout outs to people. So right here, we're so happy. Bill Lipinski says to us, awesome topic this week. Talk about the huge issue that no one else is talking about. So thank you, Bill. That is great. I'm going to run over to Twitter real quick and refresh that. And we appreciate everyone that likes our post and shares it, because that's how we get the word out. That's how we activate our voices, by sharing the information that we're trying to put out. So we really appreciate that, no matter which platform it's on, if it's on Facebook, Twitter, or YouTube. Of course, my internet isn't cooperating with me right now. But the streams are going out, and we appreciate that. So thank you for joining us for Activate Live. And don't forget to comment on this particular show if you can. And we are actually going to tell you, tell us where you're watching from. If you like, and share this post. So tell us what local you're from, what state you're from. And we're going to try something new this week. Actually, this Friday coming up, we're going to do a special edition of Activate Live. So check back around 10:15 or so Eastern Time, and you're going to meet some young machinists that are getting involved in the union, and they're staying active. And we'll also talk to Rhonda Rogers, who is the new director of Women's Human and Civil Rights, and also working with the young machinists. And they're meeting this week at the William W. Wimpersinger Education and Technology Center. So that's Friday morning around 10:15, 10:30 a.m. Don't forget to join us. We'll see you then.